Navigating the path to effective prison reform. Prison reform is an increasingly urgent issue, one that transcends the isolated experience of incarceration and affects broader societal values. A closer look at the current state of the penal system reveals a series of negated triads, problematic relationships that perpetuate a cycle of injustice and inefficacy. However, by mapping out these challenges and envisioning an affirmed future through positive triads, we can illuminate a strategic path toward meaningful reform. Overcrowding to community support. Overcrowding, high recidivism, and limited alternatives represent a grim reality of incarceration. Current facilities are stretched to the brink, leaving inmates in dire living conditions. This overcrowding often stems from punitive measures such as mandatory sentencing for non-violent offenders. Instead, we envision a triad where diversion programs, alternative sentencing, and community support replace the cycle of imprisonment. Probation, parole, and non-custodial alternatives like community service not only reduce the prison population, but also offer offenders a chance to reintegrate constructively. Inadequate to comprehensive rehabilitation programs. Another pressing concern is the lack of rehabilitation programs within prisons. Inadequate education, a shortage of vocational training, and high recidivism form a vicious cycle that undermines inmates' potential. An affirmed triad, however, prioritizes comprehensive education, vocational training, and post-release support. Education and vocational programs can offer tangible skills, equipping inmates with the knowledge needed to reintegrate into society and break the cycle of reoffending. Inadequate to quality healthcare. Healthcare is another sore spot within the current penal system. Insufficient medical care, untreated mental health issues, and rampant substance abuse are the negated realities. Access to quality healthcare, mental health services, and substance abuse treatment forms the cornerstone of an affirmed triad that can transform lives. Addressing health issues early and consistently can prevent exacerbated conditions, leading to healthier, more stable inmates and reducing the long-term burden on the prison system. Disparities to fair treatment are starkly evident in our justice system. Racial disparities, biased sentencing, and a lack of restorative justice are challenges that disproportionately affect minority and marginalized communities. A new triad of fair sentencing guidelines, culturally sensitive policies, and restorative justice can offer a better path forward. Fair sentencing coupled with cultural sensitivity acknowledges systemic biases, while restorative justice provides a framework for healing both victims and offenders. Harsh to flexible sentencing is a crucial shift needed today. Mandatory minimums and limited judicial discretion trap offenders in unnecessarily long and harsh sentences. Flexible sentencing guidelines that offer judicial discretion and alternatives to incarceration form a new triad that honors the complexity of individual circumstances. This change allows for a nuanced, case-by-case assessment of each offender's situation, providing more tailored and humane responses. Abuse, solitary confinement, and inadequate legal representation strip inmates of their dignity. The affirmed alternative is a triad focused on inmate protections, mental health-focused confinement policies, and expanded legal aid access. Safeguarding the rights and dignity of incarcerated individuals through policy changes and legal advocacy is a fundamental tenet of a fair system. Housing instability, unemployment, and the absence of counseling services after release often pull former inmates back into crime. Transitional housing, job placement, and continued counseling form a crucial triad that provides stability and support to those adjusting to post-incarceration life. These services can lay the foundation for successful reintegration. Finally, punitive measures, victim neglect, and a lack of offender accountability leave justice half-baked. Affirming a new triad through victim-offender mediation, community reconciliation, and accountability can transform punishment into healing. Restorative justice practices emphasize responsibility, empathy, and repair, creating opportunities for victims and offenders alike to find resolution. Moving from negated to affirmed triads requires a concerted effort from policymakers, communities, and advocates alike. Reform is not a singular action, but a multifaceted process of dismantling punitive structures and creating humane alternatives. By recognizing the interconnectedness of these triads, we can envision a future where prisons become places of healing rather than perpetual despair, and where the system seeks not just to punish, but to restore and rebuild lives.